It's about 3:30ish on Saturday, and right on schedule. Here come the snowflakes. There you go, starting right on time. And I left the house early, got to my boy Saad for the old hair chop at 10:30 a.m. I planned it this way, and then hit the store, got a bunch of stuff because I wanted to get home before this storm. So I got everything I need for the chickens for the next several weeks. Got some extra rock salt. Filled up the generator gas. Plenty of gas now in case the power goes. Did some clothes shopping, did some grocery shopping. Took my blankets to the laundromat. Got those washed and dried. So there we go. Well stocked, well prepped. And here comes the snow. And you know, winter's halfway over, so, in my opinion. So we've gotten off pretty good so far. It had to happen at some point. And they're saying, I don't know, could be 8 to 12, could be more than a foot. But if it's going to happen, I'll take it this way, you know. It's Saturday afternoon. It's going to snow into Sunday. That gives me all day Sunday to chisel out my little pathways around the property and whatnot. What I don't like is when we get that 8 to a foot overnight during the week, and I'm out here at 5:30 before I can even get in the shower, shoveling away before work. Not fun. So this is about as good as you could hope for. And like I said, I spent all morning into the afternoon running around, getting stuff that I need for the house, for the property. And I also planned in a little snowstorm treat. So meet me in the kitchen, and I'll show you what we got coming. Come on, let's do it. Come on, let's do it. All right, I got everything in from the car. Got the kitchen cleaned up. And I've got everything we need out on the counter. And with this snowstorm coming, by the way, it started. There's a little dusting out there. There's usually a couple of things that I yearn for in that first couple of snowstorms of the year. One is a big pot of chili on the stove, and I almost went that way. I was leaning that way. In fact, I threw a few things into the old grocery cart, but then I veered, and I'm like, a nice hearty beef and potato stew. Going with a pot of beef stew on the stove. Come on over to the board. Let me show you what I got. One nice thing about beef stew, as also with chili, there's 9 million ways to make it. There's no right, there's no wrong. You do what you prefer. So what I got here was this. This is a center cut, bottom round roast, and it was about the least expensive thing in the whole meat department. This was $4.69 a pound. It's approximately 1.25 or so it cost me like $7 and change. The stew beef, when it's already cut up and packaged, you're paying for the butcher's labor. That stuff was like $7.99 a pound, the little cubes, versus $4.69 a pound. Now granted, that was probably a different cut. They were probably sirloin or chuck. It had a little more marbling in there. But this is perfectly fine. It's got some marble. It's got a little fat cap. And I'm going to leave some of that on to render into the stew. So no worries there. And then we've got a red onion, a couple of potatoes, carrot, celery. Mushrooms are optional. I'm using them. A little tomato paste. Some recipes will call for red wine. I don't have any red wine in the house, but I have that beautiful beef stock that we made from the French onion soup episode. And I have a nice hearty roasted chicken bone stock. I use the chicken backs. So, and then I'll just add enough water to make the amount of cups I want. But hearty beef stock and chicken stock, perfect. I got some frozen peas in the freezer. I'm going to use peas and green beans because I like them both. And then I just got my dried herbs. I'm going to fish around in here. I believe I have, there it is, some dried rosemary. So we'll use some of that. And then, of course, the usual culprits, salt, pepper, olive oil, maybe a little garlic salt. So that's it for the beef stew. A lot of prep, though. I'm going to cube up that beef and cut all the veg, and then we'll get started at the stove. I got that cube beefed up, maybe 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch cubes. I diced up the red onion, and I washed all the other veg, the carrots, celery. I peeled the potatoes, de-stemmed the mushrooms. I'll take a little bit of all-purpose flour here. Just season that up a little. Some cracked black pepper. I've got right to the right of screen here, right to the right outside frame, I've got my pot heating up that we're going to brown everything in and cook the stew in. Garlic, salt. This should probably be garlic powder with salt separately, but I don't have any garlic powder at the moment, so I'm going to just put just a grain or two of my kosher salt because I don't want to over salt this dish. Alright, that's it. A little seasoned flour. Let's put our cubed beef in there. Mix that around, get them lightly coated. I like to do this in one with a top so I can cover it. I lost the top to this and just give it a good like shake and bake type shape, but the ones that I do have tops for are too small. I would have had to do multiple batches, so I'm just going to do it like so. So, light coating. Let's move the camera over now to the pot and we'll get some oil in the pot. We got some heat on there now. Let's go to a little bit of oil. That's running low, but I've got more in here. And let's toss in our beef and our red onion and get that browned off. Get the onions in and just brown those together. So let's get these moving. Alright, and while those brown, I'll chop up my potatoes and carrots. Alright, our beef cubes have some nice color on them. You can see that because of the flour, particularly that fond on the bottom of the pot. This is where your red wine would come in real handy. But we don't have any, so we'll deglaze with the beef broth. And this is why I like to use one of these flat bottom wooden spoons, because I really want to scrape the bottom of this pot, get all that flavor up. Cognac is nice for this, a red wine. But this will be just fine. So I'm scraping those up off the bottom. And now I'll add my chicken stock. And now I'll start adding the rest of my ingredients. Here's my potato, carrot, and celery. I'll save the mushrooms and the greens, the beans and peas, for last. I'll let these veg cook for a little while first. So let's add the potatoes, carrots, and celery. Remember the onions already in. And big chicken stock is melting. I'm going to add a little more water. Get the liquid up now. You don't want to go too. This is stew, not soup. Okay? So watch your liquid. That should be good. Because the onions and celery and carrots, vegetables always release their own liquid as they cook. So we can always add water. That is basically it, except for the mushrooms, green beans, and green peas. So what I'm going to do now, give it another little fond scrape, give it a stir, and I am going to turn the heat down get a simmer heat level going. I'm going to cover this and cook this for about an hour or so. So I'll see you back here in an hour. Give me a chance to tidy up the kitchen. Just realized I forgot one pretty crucial ingredient, which is my tomato paste. Not too much time passed since I said I'll see you in an hour, so it's fine. This is when I would have put it in anyway. Put a few tablespoons of tomato paste, mix that in. And I did taste the broth. We will check it again after the hour, but I think I can season a little bit. Pinch of salt. Remember, the flour was seasoned and it's giving it up into the stew, so I want to be careful. We'll check the seasoning flavor after the 1 hour simmer, before the rest of the veg goes in. All right, tomato paste in, crucial ingredient. Now let's cover it back up, and I'll see you in a bit. Kitchen smells dynamite. It's been just shy of an hour. And by the way, while I was sitting around waiting for this to cook, to simmer, I went on my channel, because I thought I had already done stew. I did one called Let's Get Stewed or something, or Got Stewed last night. These are my green beans and the frozen peas. Let's get those in. And I did that 11 months ago. So, pardon the repeat, but I just watched it. And it's quite different, actually. And that's the beauty of stew, or as I mentioned, chili, which I was going to do, is that I never do them the same way twice. I checked that one. That one I did have red wine. I didn't use tomato paste. I cooked the beef and onions a little bit longer, a little more tender before I put the potato and carrots in. It's all good. I checked this, but I'm going to taste it again. I think I want a little more salt and pepper. Just a touch of salt, not much. Bring all those flavors together. Salt brings out other ingredients' flavor. It's not just to make things salty. A little black pepper. Now, I did quality control check the potato, a piece of carrot, and the beef for tenderness. This is beef stew. It is not pot roast, like Yankee pot roast, where you want that meat almost shredding apart, almost like a barbecue brisket. This is a beef stew, so you want that meat tender, but I want to keep them in cubes with a little bit of a chew, despite being tender. So let's see where we're at on that. We were getting there. Still a bit al dente, but getting nice and tender. And we do want our mushrooms and green beans and peas to cook. So let's cover it back up, and I'd say in another 20 minutes to a half hour, we're gonna have a perfect stew. Okay, the last order of business here, and this is kind of optional, but I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna take a tablespoon of this cornstarch here. Same amount of water, just cool water. And we're gonna make a little, mix this together into a little almost paste, aka slurry, right? And you don't really need this, but it adds a nice texture, it thickens, and also adds like a little sheen. So we may not even need it all. Let's go in with a little bit. I'm going to raise the heat up a little, because any thickener that you use, whether it's flour, roux, cornstarch, it won't start to thicken until it's come to the boil. Let's add that in. I'm also scraping the bottom of the pot. The more it cooks, the more stuff tends to settle. You can see it's starting to thicken already. Drop the heat just a little. I think we're about ready. Let's get a little beef cube. Again, see where our tender is at. This stew is not only ready and edible, it's delicious. I'm going to spoon some out. I can now turn the heat off. Get myself a little bowl full. And the way I'm going to finish this is with a little fresh parsley. Straight off the plant. I'll go with another cracker pepper. The salt is fine. So is the pepper for that matter on the inside, but I'll put a little external black pepper there as a garnish. And then just a little grated cheese. This is Grana Padano. You could use whatever you want. I happen to have Parmigiano Reggiano in there. I also have Pecorino Romano. But since I had this little nugget, might as well begin to use it up. All right. Beef stew. Second time on this show. Let's get a little bit of everything. Carrot. A little beef there. Potato. Got some pea. Oh, bring on the snow. It's a winner. What a day. That slurry at the end really finishes it up nice. It gives it a nice thickness, sheen. That was just a liquid to get that flavor. Nice chunk of beef. Tenderized. H2O. It is dry January after all. With the exception of a small interlude, third weekend of the month. So there we go. Beef stew for the second time on the show. I'm not complaining. Perfect snowstorm food. And what we'll do is, I'm going to sit myself down now. It's 7 p.m. I'm going to enjoy this while I begin to edit these clips together for Sunday. Show comes out on Sunday. And what I'll do is when I get up in the morning, because anything like this, chili, beef stew, your soups, they're always better the next day. It gives them time to marry up. So what we'll do is we'll have a little taste in the morning, and this way we can peek out the window. It's too dark now. And see what all this hoopla was about. Are we getting a foot overnight? We'll find out in the morning. See you then. All right, it's 7:30. Slept in. Let's go see what's going on outside. I have no clue. All right, well, they weren't lying. This one was accurate. Yeah, about a foot. All right, shovel time today. But first, $10:30 a.m. Sunday. Let's see how this married up overnight. Next day, always better. Got that fried egg in there. Oh, man. That pot's going to sit on the stove and get heated up throughout the day with that snow outside. It's 10:30. Got a couple of cups of Joe in me. Gonna knock this back. And the forecast is showing the snow stopping, I don't know, between 1 and 1:30 p.m. So it's only 10:30. I'm gonna go out there after this bowl, maybe relax a little first. No sense doing too much shoveling if it's just gonna fall on top of it. But I've got all day on Sunday to just leisurely carve out my little paths. I don't think this one's going to cause too much damage because, like I said, it's stopping around 1. Even though there's more than a foot of snow out there, it's light, it's powdery. First one of the season generally is. So I can just push my paths out of the way. And then tomorrow, it's going up to 40, full sun. It won't all melt. It's too much snow. But it'll melt around the paths. So the place will be fully navigable. And, you know, I don't see much snow in the forecast for the rest of the week. So not a bad one. Actually kind of nice. First one of the year. Almost mid-January. I'm not going to complain. I'll see you for the next episode. Come on, let's do it.